So Nisha, what are your thoughts on the Doge meme?
Such meme.
Much funny. Wow.
Wow.
We couldn't even get it right. We rehearsed that as well. Fuck's sake. We can't even say wow at the same time. God, this channel's a mess, but I love it. Let's talk about Doge. If you spent any time online whatsoever, you are probably all too familiar with the Doge meme. And if you're not, congratulations on getting internet access beneath that rock that you apparently live under. In addition to being one of the most popular and pervasive memes to exist, Doge has also leaked here into the real world. Odd then to think that the only reason that's the case is because of the weird way the Shiba Inu's eyes work. Is it Shiba Inu? Shiba Inu.
Shiba Inu.
Shiba Inu. Shiba Inu. Oh, Sheeb. Sheeb.
So cute.
Yeah, I love
so
dogs.
Doge.
Oh, damn it, he called me! Nah, fell for it immediately, damn! So I would explain the Doge meme, but it's far easier to just show you an example of one, and whoever edits this video, please make a fact Fiend Doge meme to demonstrate what I'm talking about. And for anyone who's unfamiliar with the meme, the weird fractured way the language on it is written might be confusing, and that might very well be by design, because people with degrees in linguistics have tried and failed to break down why Doge memes are so funny and relatable, and there doesn't seem to be any sort of consensus on what about them makes them just so immediately relatable, despite the fact it's a dog with broken English written over it in Comic Sans.
It's probably how you imagine if dogs could speak. That's how they would talk.
That's one of the ways it's been explained, yes. And there's even been comparisons drawn to the original I Can Has Cheezburger meme, which is a famous image of a very large Rubenesque cat with a dumb smile on it, so it says I Can Has Cheezburger. And again, linguists have broken the language on these two meme formats down. They're not only distinctive, but have their own patterns and language use. And there might be people out there watching this thinking, why do people give such a huge shit about memes? They're just pictures with words written over them. And they're actually super interesting to academics, because if you think about it, a meme conveys a lot of information with just a single image and a few words of text. To use Doge as an example, right, the meme created for this very video requires at least 2 layers of understanding and is a joke that's only understood by people who both watch this channel and are familiar with the meme, and that's all conveyed in a single image. And one of the more obscure examples that springs to mind for me is Limewire Simpsons memes, which are memes about Limewire using images from The Simpsons. An example of which will be behind me right now, and there are probably a few people watching this who get the joke being made, and think for a moment, if you're one of those people, about how insane that is, that almost instantaneously you deciphered the multiple layers of context on this image, deciphered them in your mind, and immediately understood what is trying to be conveyed. That's fucking incredible.
Yeah, because the one that I like about the Simpsons Limewire one is the one where Homer's opening the door to Barney with a gun, and it's labelled Homer as like the PC, and then Barney is Limewire, and it says Linkin Park num.exe.
Exactly! And understanding something like that requires a very specific life experience, and the fact that you can look at it and instantaneously get everything about it is fucking incredible, and something that is of worth to academics, as stupid as it sounds, to study memes. And I think the best example I can use to demonstrate this is the Sarcastic Spongebob memes. Again, an example of which will be behind me.
Okay, so Karl, what is so important about the SpongeBob meme?
It's because you can tell at sight that what is written is sarcastic, and that is something academics and linguists, humorists and satirists have been trying to figure out for literally hundreds of years.
Thanks to that SpongeBob meme, every time I see text written in that way, I read it as sarcasm.
You can, yeah, and that's something that's actually kind of fucking amazing, because as I said, people have been trying to figure out a way to do that for hundreds of fucking years, because there's never been a way to accurately show sarcasm via the written word up to the existence of that meme. And academics are super fucking interested in why that of all things says sarcasm. We've got an example right here of a piece of merch we had fucking made about the people who bitch at Star Wars of, oh, girls can't use lightsabers. And you read it in that tone of voice, it's written like that. And for literally hundreds of years, people have toyed with various ways of showing sarcasm via the written word. I think there was a punctuation mark people tried for a bit, which didn't work. People didn't understand it, because you need to know what the punctuation mark means for you to read it as sarcasm. And if you're not all too familiar with that, it might work. But with this, when it's just one big letter, one small letter, one big letter, you immediately think, oh, that's sarcasm. And that's fucking awesome. That's the value of a meme. And that's why they're worth studying, why there's value in them, as weird as it sounds to attribute value to something that is, by its nature, disposable and instant.
Yeah, if we bring it back to Doge, what is it about his eyes or her eyes?
I believe that the original Doge was a female, yes. And I think the dog's still alive. Because the owner of it has got an Instagram page and they own multiple Shiba Inus. So you're probably thinking, like, Karl, what is it about the Shiba Inu's eyes that made it so memeable? And it's because if you look at the image of Doge, and there'll be a bigger version behind me, you'll notice that the dog just looks so skeptical, so perplexed. There's a very human quality to the original Doge face. We just go in, you can't see what I'm doing, but I don't think when you turn your head and just look and be like, what's going on here? It's a very human thing for a dog to do, which is one of the reasons why people who've studied it, and yes, people have studied memes, and why they think that Doge caught on so quickly. And you can see an example of this in the fact there has now been a Doge 2 discovered, and it was another person who took a picture of their dog, which happens to be in a very similar pose, and it has the very similar skeptical look on its face, which makes the dog look very human and very relatable. And again, that went super viral.
I think I have like a similar example. I wouldn't say it's Doge 3 or whatever, but my mum, who owns the Border Poo that you laughed at.
The Border Poo, yeah.
A few years ago, we went out to a park and I took my camera with me to take some pictures. And there was a moment, obviously, the dog did its business. My mum bagged it up. And then she kind of like dangled the bag in front of his face. And he does like the expression of like, what the fuck? And you can see the whites of his eyes. And I'm thinking I could probably turn that into a meme.
And that's the important thing to note here, because Shiba Inus naturally have very dark, almost entirely black eyes, which from a distance makes them look like tiny fuzzy sharks. But when they turn their head ever so slightly, you can just start to see the whites of their eyes, which combined with the fact their eyes are almost entirely black most of the time otherwise, makes them look just so wonderfully skeptical, which is one of the reasons experts posit the image caught on and went so viral, because there's just something very relatable about Doge's face of just...
So obviously the way that Shiba Inu looks at the camera is the reason it went viral.
Well, that's one of the proposed theories, yeah, because you just look at it. So adorable. It's just, you look at that face and you go, that's a feeling I think we can all relate to, just puzzlement on a dog.
That's the thing with memes is like you look at them and they are like 90% of the time relatable. Like you can look at that and say, yeah, I have felt how that meme looks.
Yeah, and you can never predict something going viral. And there are probably thousands and thousands of images of dogs looking exactly as skeptical. And it just so happens that that image caught the right person's eye at the right time, because that's the way the internet works. But it's just quite interesting to me that one of the most pervasive, popular memes of the last decade might have only become as popular as it was because the dog the image was of has funny looking eyes. Wow. So Nisha, let's let loose our inner meme lords and talk about memes for a second. Is there any memes that you quite enjoy?
Yeah, I quite like the meme, which is the one where it says you versus the guy she told you not to worry about. That was one of my favourites.
Those are fucking awesome. And they've evolved over time to the point where some of them are really abstract. And that's one of the things I find super interesting about memes, is that the initial meme can just evolve so rapidly with how quickly the internet works, and it's super interesting to me that within almost no time at all, you can have a variation on that original template so divorced from the original context. It is almost incomprehensible to an outsider, but someone who knows, and someone has just the right amount of knowledge to parse every individual bit of information, can tell at sight what's going on, and that's super fucking cool. That's so fascinating to me, and I know it makes me sound like a huge fucking nerd, but I love it. It's so cool.
It's like, I think I was going to say another good example which went on for ages and there were so many different variations was the one where it was a real Housewives woman yelling at the cat.
Yeah, I don't even know where that came from. I never knew the original context of that, but the beauty of a good meme is that you look at it and you would know immediately what's going on.
Yeah.
That you look at it and like, I don't know what the context is here, but I can kind of parse what's happening from my prior knowledge of memes, which seems like a weird thing to have, but that's what happens. Because you look at it and you go, yeah, I understand what's going on here. And it's maybe it's not something other people out there watching right now have thought about as much as I clearly have. But you might have noticed that you can look at a bad meme and know it's a bad meme, but you may not be able to explain exactly why. You can just tell from sight it's a bad meme. And I think that more than anything highlights just how ingrained they now are in pop culture. It's super interesting.
It's just part of everyday life now. It's like you go on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and it's just meme after meme, and it's like, oh yeah, like it's just normal.
So much information can be conveyed with a single image. And thinking about memes that I enjoy and looking at them through the lens of just how impactful they can be, I like the who would win memes because they've actively impacted language. And there's just something very specific about the way those are written that always crack me up. Like, oh, it's the sun versus a cloud. And it's written like who would win? A billion-year-old nuclear explosion that has existed since before man existed. One fluffy boy. And it's just the way that's written. And now, the word boy written in that way, like B-O-I, they're just referring to something as like, oh yeah, it's one spiny boy. And something like that is now in the modern lexicon. That's, again, really interesting to me. Or doggo memes, where the word doggo is now just part of the vernacular of people our age. And I fucking love doggo memes because, have you ever seen the breakdown of what a doggo is?
I think so, because don't they include like the words pupper and stuff like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the way it's worded is like, so what's, and there's a famous question from like a Yahoo answer or a Quora thing. It's like, what's the difference between a doggo and a pupper? And the answer is, all puppers are doggos and all doggos are puppers.
Yeah.
And they can be used interchangeably, but at the same time, you have levels of doggo. And it starts with small doggos, like chihuahuas, which are yappers. And they go all the way up to massive doggos, which are like your Saint Bernards, which are woofers. But if you have a slightly smaller dog, that's not quite a woofer, but not quite a doggo, it's called a subwoofer.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, each of those things can be called a doggo because that's the... Oh, it's like... It's so complicated and so stupid, but the fact you can understand it on sight is really fascinating to me.
So yeah, other memes that I really enjoy are the starter pack memes you get.
Some of those are fucking on point. Like, they cut to the fucking bone. I've never seen so much accuracy on the internet. It's like, some of those are laser accurate on the kind of person they're describing.
Yeah, so yeah, for example, like one of my favourites is I yell at my wife in public.
Yeah, that's one that immediately springs to mind for me. And it's the shaved head, the Oakley sunglasses, the cargo shorts. And you look at it and you can picture, in your head, immediately the person it's describing. It's so fucking true.
Another one that I really like is the Karen haircut.
As soon as you see it and hear it explained to you, you know immediately what they're talking about. Like when you see the thing of, oh man, what's a Karen? Oh, it's and you just show them a picture of that haircut and just say it's the kind of woman who asked to speak to the manager. And every single person who's ever had an encounter with that kind of person knows immediately what you're talking about and understands it instantly. And that's fucking incredible. That's the power of memes. And then you've got like Karens on Twitter saying Karen is a slur on par with the N-word. And the only response is, I've never seen a more Karen statement than this. And then you had, before Karen's was OK Boomer.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And OK Boomer was such a fucking incredible microcosm of the kind of attitude that the older generation has, the disdain they have for the younger generation. They've spent years writing masturbatory articles about how they're the greatest generation, how our generation, the younger generation, the millennials, are all stuck up fucking snowflakes who don't know how to deal with the real world, and just responding to them with, OK Boomer, sends it into a flying rage. It's like, oh, it highlights the hypocrisy of everything you've said. And it's summed up in just 2 words. OK, Boomer.